Hi guys, and welcome back. This time around I'm bringing you the Binary Acoustics EP321, or also known as the EP321 MEMS, and its call to fame is the fact that it's the first implementation of a direct drive MEMS. And MEMS, for those of you that don't know, means or stands for micro electromechanical system, and it's a technology that's in this case being used just for the tweeters, just for the high frequencies, although there is talk of it being used also in the future in terms of mid-range and lower frequencies. Anyway, before I continue, I want to thank HIFIGO for having sent me this unit for review purposes. They've been a great help over the years that I've been working with them, so really, my thank you to them. As for the 3-to-1, let's get into things a little bit more in detail. Build quality is top notch. It reminds me very much of things from soft ears and from Moondrop, and in this particular case, it reminds me a little bit of the Moondrop Blessing. It's got that same overall build quality, and that's not a bad thing. It's just maybe an indicator that it's probably coming from the same factory as what Moondrop and soft ears are using. Although the size is not the smallest IM, it's also not the biggest IM, but its ergonomics are really good and it fits in my ears perfectly. I had no issues. So build quality is top notch, solid build. It looks the part. The faceplate, it's got this nice design, you know. In terms of cable, I would have liked a nicer cable, but again, not a deal breaker in any way. It measured up nicely, it works perfectly. I did try another cable, but I ended up just using the stock one. Accessories, it brings a decent amount of tips. Nice case, as you guys can see, although I am using the Divinus Velvet tips because these were the ones that just made it work the best for me. That's it. Anyway, jumping straight away into what we want to know, which is sound and performance and how all of that. You can say that the 3-to-1 delivers a mild U-shaped kind of tuning with noticeable sub-bass elevation. That's true, but it's not at the cost of it losing any impact or any cleanliness or nothing. The bass, it's sub-bass focused, but it's impactful, it's clean, and it allows for the mids to still be transparent. And definitely what stands out is the treble, thanks to that MEMS driver. I would say that the treble in the 3-to-1 is something that has to be experienced, honestly. It is impressively clean, impressively detailed, airy. I would even say shimmery. Some people like calling it shimmery, but I like using the word twinkly and sparkly. It's a very well executed treble. And again, this is all down to the use of this driver. And I would go as far as saying that it's probably one of the best treble implementations I've seen, or I've heard rather, when you consider all the technologies that are out there available. It really is impressive. If the Mega 7 from XINHS is an impressive treble implementation when you consider it's just BAs, when we're talking about microplaners and ESTs and now MEMS, this is definitely up there with the best of the best that are out there at the moment, without any question. And again, a sign of this well-implemented treble is the fact that it's, the high frequencies are they are not harsh, they are fatigue-free. You can listen to this thing for hours like I did and not be tired of it or anything of the sort. It scales very well. It's a really, really well-executed treble performance. And I would even go as far as saying that even maybe those that are a little bit treble adverse will be so impressed by the treble in the 3-to-1 that they might be converted. Let's put it that way. Anyway, mids, technical, well separated, transparent, good vocal clarity, but slightly recessed in the lower mid range, which can make things feel just a little thinner. The bass is clean, it's quick, it's punchy, it doesn't bleed into the mids, but the deepest there's that sometimes that little lack of I don't want to use the word thickness, but it just makes things sound a little bit thin at times, and you really only notice it when you compare with something which is really good in mid-range presentation, which is the case of the 242, for example. But this is just a minor nitpick. There's honestly really nothing I can say, oh no, the mids are not good. No, they're just slightly, ever so slightly thin. Technical performance. This is where the 3-to-1 shines. Excellent imaging, excellent separation, speed, transients, the sense of space, of that holographic, unbelievable. And it's you know, when you consider the price, and you see how well it's doing this, it punches way above its price point. In this 200 to 300 price bracket, I don't think, honestly, there is anything that can outright beat the EP321 in that department, and even at you know, at higher price points. I will say that performance does improve depending on what source you're using. It will scale well or better depending on the source that you use. I stuck to my trusty FIO Q15, and then to also my Frankenstein monster, like I like calling it, my NX7 with the Yuki. I mean, this is a combination that I've been using now for years, and I just love it, honestly. In terms of the tips, yes, the tips I would say will also help out a little bit, and at the cable, you know, like I mentioned before, you know, I guess you could play around with cables as well to try and find something a little bit better. But honestly, this is without a doubt, you know, one of the most solid releases for 2025. And it's all down to this amazingly well executed treble performance coming from this MEMS driver, and how well they've been able to then integrate it with the rest of the drivers. So I mean, you know, my overall verdict for the 321 is that it's if your thing is a detail oriented performance, definitely this is something that should be in your radar. This is definitely something that you should consider, because it's not going to disappoint. It's you know, it's a detail oriented, exciting, high resolution sound. That's, I think, the best way I can put it. And it does it in a manner which is, let's say, to a certain point, refreshing, because it's not using the conventional methods of doing it. Now, as I mentioned, I brought out here the Duno 242 also because the Duno 242 has this also kind of U-type signature, although the U42 does have a different configuration. It's got 2 dynamic drivers, it's got 4 balanced armatures and 2 microplanars. The sound on the Du42 aims to be more, let's say, balanced neutral, if you want to call it that way. Although there is a slight or mild bright tendency, if you want to call it that way. And by bright, I don't say this in a wrong way or in a bad way. No, it's impressively well done as well. Comparing the 321 and the Duno, the EP321 is more U-shaped, more bassier, you know, and it's felt, you can feel it. And then it's got that slightly more thin mid-range. And then again, the brighter, more detailed, extended treble, while the Duno 242 is more neutralish overall. It's got it's warmer in the lows and in the mids, and that's where you notice the difference between the two of them. It's got that little extra warmth, weight. I don't know how you want to call it in the lower mids. Making, you know, the lower mids have a better balance, and especially when you compare the lower mids with the higher mids, if you want to put it that way, it balances out that distinction. They sound more uniform, while on the 321 at times you just feel it's just ever so slightly more thinner. That's it. But guys, trust me, this is just me nitpicking and trying to help position one versus the other. Bass, definitely 321 has the more quantity, the more impact. It's more sub-bass focused, while the 242 is perhaps a little bit tighter, more controlled, a little bit maybe a little bit more articulate, but less slam than the 321, and it's noticeable. Now, having said that, neither of them are bass heads. Mids, definitely the 242 is the one that shines. It's got the superior the superior timbre, the superior vocal presence, the richness. I think that's the best way to put it. It's a more more richer vocal presentation. Is it a outright massacre to the 3 to 1? No, obviously not. And maybe in your ears you might not even agree with me. Maybe in some of you guys you'll hear it and you'll think, oh no, Tony was talking, you know, it's being full of SHIT. The EP3 to 1 has got richer vocals and richer everything and better mids. But this is just my, as I say, this is just my perception of how I listen to one and the other. Treble, again, the 3 to 1 is the one that takes the cake here, especially because of that implementation. I mean, it's not that the Duno to the 242 hasn't got sparkle or hasn't got good extension. It's got, but it's less. It doesn't have the same amount of air as the 3 to 1, and I think. To a certain extent, that might not be so much the fact that the microplanars might not be able to do it, but to avoid having the microplanars working where they might be introducing some harshness, some lack of polish, some lack of elegance and maturity to the sound. They've down-tuned the microplanar so that there's a better balance overall and allow them things to sound in such a neutral manner in which they do. While the MEMS in the 3 to 1 is able to have all of that air, all of that, you know, shimmery sensation without being aggressive or harsh or anything of the sort. Technically, both excel. I mean, both have excellent staging, excellent imaging, detail. Maybe the 3 to 1 might be a little bit more speedy, a little bit more holographic, if you want to put it that way. While the Duno 242 impresses by, you know, its realism, its maturity. Look, guys, it's not big differences here. It's just slight shifts in the focus one way or the other. Another thing, just to and this is nothing to do now with obviously this is the sound, but one thing here that I have to give to Duno, and it's a point that I sometimes make and I forget to mention, is the fact that in terms of accessories, the Duno 242 has premium accessories, excellent cable, tips, all of them basically you can imagine. You know, it's something that must be given credit to Duno. So, I mean, finally, if you were to ask me, so Tony, which one would you choose? Well, I would say pick the 3 to 1 if you want a standout treble performance. Pick the 3 to 1 if you want a more energetic, exciting tuning, and that wow factor in terms of the highs. Okay, definitely. Go for the Duno 242 if you want a more vocal-centric, more natural timbre, more balanced body in terms of the sound of the vocals. If you want a much more balanced, I think that's probably the best way of putting it. If you want a more balanced presentation, the Duno 242 will be the one. If you want a more exciting presentation, the 3 to 1 will impress. And again, this is how I perceived it, how I heard these IMs. But the reality is that both of them are, you know, two of the strongest contenders in the mid-fi tribrid space. It's a segment of the market which has got many other IMs which I could have also brought out here and mentioned. I mean, the Horizon from Ziggett, for example, is one other such IM. The new a full Performer 8S, which I've just received and I'm still listening to it, is definitely one that's going to be contending as well in this part of the market. The same got the Super Mix 5. Those are other really good tribrid IMs. But you know, these two, and until I do that comparison, and are probably going to be the two that stand out the most for me right now. And ultimately they are more, I would say, even side grades than necessarily one being better than the other. All right. Anyway, guys, I hope I was able to shed some light here on the binary Acoustics EP3 to 1 MEMS. I'm going to just show you quickly now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys, so now let's show you the graph rather of the EP3 to 1 MEMS. This is the graph of the EP3 to 1. Left and right channel are absolutely impeccable. This is using the Venus velvet tips. That 100 Hz point I like using there corresponds to just over 2 kilohertz, about 2.2, and then the amount of energy that you find at both extremes is perfect. That slight recess that I was saying, that slight thinness that I was saying, is probably due to this kind of little bit of a kink here in the mids, and as well this continuous slopeward downwards of the mids, of the lower mids. That's that slight little thinness that I was talking about. But I mean, like I said, guys, this is not a break it or a deal breaker rather. In terms of the extension, by looking at this, yes, you can see it's got plenty of extension, but this is by no means an indicator of how good this treble is, because trust me, when I say this has got some serious treble and it's good, really, really good, I'm not in any way exaggerating. Anyway, comparing it here with the Duno 242, you can see that they kind of are very similar in the way they are tuned, very similar. More energy of the microplanar, sorry, definitely. Mids, by looking, I mean, honestly, by looking at the Duno 242, you can see that neutrality, that 100 hertz point there, you can see again corresponds to a 2.2. It looks overall very similar, kind of the same sort of equation, without a doubt. When you listen to it, however, it's a different story. In the Duno 242, it sounds the part without a doubt, and that's why I got it here. But in terms of the vocals, that's where the Duno 242 definitely shines. I mean, the vocals of the Duno 242 are really well done. There's no, guys, it's difficult to explain just by looking at a graph. You have to listen to the Duno 242, honestly. You have to try and find the Duno 242 and listen to it, and then you'll understand what I mean by how good the mid-range presentation of the Duno 242 is. It's a balanced, warm, realistic vocals. It's phenomenal. The timbre and the tonality, really incredible. The binary, I mean, it's incredible as well. That there's nothing that I can, and by looking at the graph, there's nothing again that you would say, oh, but why are you saying the mids are thin? Or but the graph doesn't seem it. This is, I think, this is two perfect examples of the graphs, and I've said this countless times. Graphs do not translate the true experience that you have when you listen to an IM. And I mean, the different driver implementations, the way that these different drivers are being given their energy or being tuned, the way the IM fits in your ears, all of these are factors which are going to radically and dramatically change your perception of sound of a particular IM. And that's it, guys. I think there's really not much more that I can say. I've said everything. All right. As always, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. You take care now. Bye-bye.